There is a quiet hunger that follows many people into adulthood, an invisible craving that never quite fades, no matter how successful, attractive, or accomplished they become. That hunger is the need for approval, and for many it is not born out of insecurity alone, but out of something far deeper and more primal, the legacy of an emotionally unavailable parent. If you grew up with a parent who was physically present but emotionally distant, or who only gave praise when you perform well, you may have learned early on that love is conditional. You began to equate worth with doing, not being. You began to believe that if you could just be better, quieter, smarter, more obedient, then maybe they would see you. Maybe then they would approve. And decades later, that same wiring still lives inside of you, echoing in your relationships, in your workplace, and in the way you treat yourself. You may find yourself working twice as hard just to earn a compliment that never comes. You might feel uneasy when someone does not immediately affirm you, even if there is no conflict. That discomfort is not about the present moment. It is about an unresolved past. The child in you still believes that love must be earned, that affection is a reward rather than a birthright. So you chase approval like a lifeline, not realizing that the original wound came from someone who could not love you in the way you needed. And it is not your fault. Children do not have the emotional vocabulary to say, "My parent is emotionally limited." Instead, they say, "I must be doing something wrong." That self-blame becomes the foundation of your inner voice, the voice that whispers, "You are not enough unless someone else confirms that you are." Even in relationships, you might feel anxious when your partner is distant, even briefly. That anxiety is not just about them, it is about the emotional gaps you live through. When someone becomes quiet or distracted, your nervous system interprets it as abandonment, not because it truly is, but because it reminds you of the original emotional distance you experienced. And so you react, not to the current moment, but to the original heartbreak. You become overly accommodating. You suppress your needs. You work overtime to make others happy, secretly hoping that if you are good enough, they will stay, they will notice, they will approve. But approval rooted in fear is not true connection. It is survival. And survival is not the same as love. People often think approval seeking is vanity or neediness. But in truth, it is grief. It is the grief of never being truly seen. It is the ache of wondering if your existence ever felt like enough to someone you loved. When parents are unavailable, emotionally cold, dismissive, distracted, or controlling, children adapt by becoming who the parent seems to want, not who they truly are. This split creates a lifelong identity crisis. You might find yourself constantly shape-shifting, adjusting your tone, your behavior, even your opinions, just to fit in. And you may not even realize you are doing it because it feels normal. But what you are really doing is hiding. You are still that child, cautiously tiptoeing through life, asking, "Am I okay now? Do you like me now?" That is not a question from an adult. That is a cry from a child who still has not healed. The hardest part about healing from an unavailable parent is acknowledging that they may never give you the closure you seek. Many emotionally distant parents do not see the damage they caused because they too were raised in emotional silence. They may believe they did everything right because they provided food, shelter, and education. But what they failed to provide was emotional safety. They may have never looked into your eyes and said, "I see you. I love you exactly as you are." And so you spent years trying to earn a moment that never arrived. That yearning becomes a blueprint, and unless it is rewritten, you will keep repeating it. At work, in friendships, in love, you will mistake performance for intimacy. You will confuse validation with love. Healing begins when you realize that your worth is not up for debate. It is not something another person hands you. It is something you reclaim. You are not broken for wanting to be seen. That is a human need, not a flaw. But your desire for approval must evolve from a desperate chase to a grounded understanding. The version of you that performs for approval is tired, exhausted, really. That part of you was built to survive a childhood where emotional nourishment was scarce. But you are not in that house anymore. You do not have to earn love like it is a trophy. You can stop performing. You can be. You can rest. The next time you feel that urgent pull to prove yourself, pause. Ask yourself, what am I trying to prove, and to whom? Often the approval we are chasing does not belong to the present. It is a ghost from the past, a parent's voice, a look that said, "Not good enough." But you are not a child anymore. You can become the parent you needed. You can speak to yourself with warmth. You can create relationships that honor your truth rather than demand your perfection. It takes time. It takes awareness. But it is possible. You will not heal by winning the approval of those who never gave it to you freely. You will heal when you stop needing it. And when that moment comes, when your self-worth is no longer dependent on someone else's gaze, you will finally feel free. Because true peace does not come from applause. It comes from knowing you are always enough, even when someone else could not see it.